So you probably read this title and thought to yourself, I have heard this phrase a million freaking times. Loud pipes save lives, am I right? Maybe you're someone who believes in it, or maybe you think it's just a myth. Either way, today we are going to dive into the truth behind the claim once and for all. In this video, we're not here to tell you what you want to hear. We're just going to break down the science of sound, look at real-world accident data, and get expert opinions to see if loud exhaust really makes us safer or if they're just creating a false sense of security. So if you have already made up your mind, just hang tight. Maybe this video will make you actually rethink things. Anyway, let's get into the first episode of the Moto myth. Let's take a closer look at the actual science of sound and awareness. So here is the first problem with loud pipes. Sound waves don't travel the way most riders think they do. So let's actually break this down. So how is sound created? It's created through vibrations of air molecules. So basically what this means for the motorcycle in specific, if we look at the engine combusts, causing the air that's still left in the gas chamber to leave through the exhaust valve. And the exhaust is almost always positioned at the rear of the bike, which basically means that most of the sound is actually directed behind you and not in front of you, which might not be so beneficial. Of course, you can argue that the sound is still traveling in the other direction, which is true, but it's just not as loud. When you're moving at highway speeds, the wind and road noise make it even harder for other drivers to hear. So we just looked at a little bit of science behind it. But do car drivers actually hear loud pipes? Even if loud pipes do make more noise, do car drivers actually hear them? The truth is, probably not. Modern cars, as I've just said before, have thick insulation, closed windows and music or podcast playing. In fact, some cars have noise cancelling technology that actively reduces the outside sounds. So let's put it into perspective. Have you ever had an ambulance or a police siren behind you and you didn't even notice it until it was pretty close? That's a 120 decibel siren, way louder than any motorcycle exhaust. And if people don't always hear that, what are the chances that they'll hear a motorcycle pipe at 90 decibels from behind? Instead of relying on sound, it turns out there are far better ways to be noticed on the road. So let's dive into those right now. So if loud pipes aren't the answer, what actually helps riders stay safe? Well, the data points to three key factors: visibility, positioning, and defensive riding. Studies show that high visibility gear, like reflective vests or bright colored helmets, can reduce motorcycle accidents up to 37%. That is a huge difference. Another major factor is actually proper lane positioning. Riders who stay out of blind spots and use strategic lane placement are far more likely to be seen before any accident ever occurs. In contrast, there's no real data that loud pipes reduce accidents. If anything, could actually give a rider a false sense of security, because the rider might think they are heard by them, which is most likely not the case. So are loud pipes completely useless? Not necessarily. There are a few situations where they might make a difference. For example, in slow-moving city traffic, where pedestrians or other riders are more likely to hear you. Or in lane-splitting situations where a quick rev might alert a distracted driver before they change lanes. Keyword is might. There is no guarantee that someone will hear you, especially if they're blasting music or focused on something else. So to conclude, do loud pipes actually save lives? The evidence says probably not. If you really want to stay safe on the road, focus on the things that make a direct impact, like high visibility gear, defensive riding, and proper lane positioning. Of course, it doesn't take away from the fact that you might like the sound of a louder exhaust, which is totally valid. But purely looking at the fact that cars probably won't hear you any better with a loud exhaust than without a loud exhaust, it probably doesn't really make a difference. So what do you think? Have loud pipes ever saved you? Or are you more a fan of a quieter exhaust? Just drop it down below in the comments. Anyway, I hope you liked this first episode of the Moto Myth. See you in the next one.